One of the most thrilling games in MCC to watch is Skybattle. Full of action, skill and strategy, this is one of the most exciting games to both watch and play. Although this game is very unpredictable, we have seen that strategy and skill are essential to winning Skybattle. Today we will be showing you the most successful tactics and strategies in our guide of how to win Skybattle on the Candyland map. First, to explain the game. Skybattle is a PvP game focused on killing players on a group of islands above the void. There are various utility items that can be blended with traditional PvP in order to vanquish your enemies. Many resources lay scattered around the islands. These include bows, arrows, cobwebs, ore, TNT and creeper eggs. The map has many types of islands and structures. For the Candy Lane map, these include starter islands, connector islands, the candy cane towers, the lollipop towers, the lower and upper donuts, and the donut hole island. Many resources lay scattered around the islands. Additionally, as the game progresses, the border closes in, forcing conflict. The void below will kill any player instantly, and the vertical border will wither your health away from above. A key to understanding how Skybattle works is to look at the scoring system. Players receive 50 points for a kill, 50 points for winning a round, and only 2 points for surviving past another player. This scoring system is heavily skewed towards aggressive plays and taking fights, so strategies are usually shaped around this. Another mechanic that shapes the strategy of Skybattle is the unlimited number of blocks that each player gets. Blocks are life in Skybattle. They are necessary to build bridges, block off other teams, or even block clutch. Blocks should be utilised to their fullest effect to build extremely safe bridges and ideally kept in your offhand. At the start of the game, every player receives the same items. These include an iron chestplate and pickaxe, a stone sword, a bow and 2 arrows, food, and infinite blocks. The starting island also has an iron block, 2 TNT, 4 sticks, and a crafting table. Next to the starter island, both connector islands contain 2 iron blocks, though teams will likely contest these. Also very close to the starter island is the Oreo Supply Island. This contains a bountiful supply of resources, including an iron sword and axe, 8 arrows, 2 TNT, 2 sticks, 2 creeper eggs, a splash potion of healing along with an iron block and diamond ore. After looting these areas, players typically advance up the candy cane towers, where they can find 4 fishing rods, 4 cobwebs and another crafting table. Continuing inward to the centre of the map after crossing the asteroid belt of small islands, players can choose to climb the lollipop towers or go straight to the donut rings. At the top of the lollipop towers sit 6 cobwebs, 2 more sticks, 2 TNT, 2 creeper eggs, 4 arrows and 1 diamond ore, and another crafting table. These islands are quite close, and in the case a team arrives early, multiple can be looted. So as we've seen, the map is filled with valuable resources and utility items. Understanding how to use these items to their fullest effect is hugely important for finding success in Skybattle. First, we'll talk about the item with the most potential to kill, and by far the most fun item to use. TNT. From directly damaging to players to spleefing or knocking them into the void, creating separation and even making cannons, TNT has a variety of ways to be used both offensively and defensively. However, the most effective way to get kills per piece of TNT is to blow up congested areas during fights, especially in the final circle. Ideally, you want to place TNT in areas with multiple players, either dropping it from above or placing it around combatants. TNT also has the ability to break through the roof fortifications of teams, without any counter. By placing TNT, teams will tend to halt any aggression they were showing. This also includes stalling teams, either to pinch teams against the border or giving time for your team to regroup. Sending single players on TNT bombing missions can be a very successful plan, as a single player can easily kill multiple with one single piece of TNT. Playing aggressive with TNT, even at the cost of one zone life, should be considered when playing Skybattle. Lastly, TNT does a tremendous amount of damage when on a level field with the player. With no blocks in between, simply placing blocks between yourself and the TNT will be substantially cut down on damage taken. The map also has a special feature when it comes to TNT. By placing TNT in the water elevators, it will rise to the top and blow teams up. Bows and arrows are another huge weapon in Skybattle. Not only is there the potential to easily knock players into the void, but they can also provide some serious damage when used in the proper circumstances. Due to being a rare commodity, arrows should mainly be used to shoot players when bridging or in very exposed positions with the goal of knocking players off. Taking pot shots at players from a distance is a waste due to the potential of arrows. Dealing damage with arrows is a much more situational strategy. On average, arrows do just under 3 hearts against the base armor and 2 hearts against full iron. As a result, it takes about 5 arrows to kill a full iron player and 4 against a player with only a chestplate. Due to how long it takes to kill a player, arrows should be used to deal damage when a player is stuck in a spot, unable to quickly escape or protect themselves against a barrage of arrows. Additionally, this can be used in unison with the border. By pitting a player against the border, a player won't be able to move as easily, as well as them taking extra damage and not being able to recover. The other explosive available in Skybattle is creeper eggs, a different but very useful style of explosive. Creepers are a much more situational item than TNT, but have several big advantages. The main advantage of creepers is the fast detonation time. 1.5 versus TNT's 4 seconds. Players have much less opportunity to escape or counter a creeper explosion if placed well. Also, creepers can be placed inside the same space as a player, while TNT cannot. Creepers can also get closer to players, while TNT is stagnant. These advantages come with serious drawbacks. Creepers can backfire if they end up targeting your team instead of another team. The greatest counter to creepers is blocking the line of sight. A creeper cannot explode if it doesn't have line of sight to a player. Simply placing blocks in the way can block explosion damage and stop it from exploding. There is no way to say for certain what the best way is to use the iron and diamonds for armor and weapons. However, it is considered better to use them for weapons first and then use any left over on armor. Leggings are better to craft than boots, which are better than helmets. By looting the Oreo supply island, a team will have 2 iron weapons immediately, meaning the team only needs 2 more. Cobwebs are a very situational item in Skybattle. Cobwebs can be used in combat in order to trap players in a place or block them off. This is a very efficient way to escape a dangerous situation, creating space between you and your attackers. It can also be used to make your opponent helpless to bows and explosives. Fishing rods can be useful to throw players off the map. However, if a player is crouching, they can only be pulled off a platform when grabbed from a higher location. Players are also safe if on a large enough platform. Fishing rods also have some other uses though. The rod can be off-handed after catching an enemy and can be held until a good time arises, such as jumping across a gap or when forced into running across a bridge. Crafting tables are scattered throughout the map, and your team should grab at least one if they need to craft items later in the game. They can be found at the starting island and at the top of either type of tower. Also, if you want to learn more about MCC and strategies of other games, subscribe to be informed when another strategy guide is uploaded. Height is massively important in void-based PvP. Having a higher height creates an invisible safety measure against opponents. Enemies are naturally in a more precarious position when forced to climb upwards, while players can much more easily drop to a lower position. Additionally, height allows many items to work better. Fishing rods, TNT, creepers, and bows are all harder to counter when used from above, and cobwebs can be used to safely drop from above. When bridging across islands, making guardrails is very important to avoid being shot off by the other teams, but what is most important to staying safe is to cross bridges quickly. When nearing the final fight, making bridges multiple blocks wide with walls offers a good balance between safety and mobility. When playing a Skybattle, it is important to not focus solely on survival. By doing this, many teams miss out on big opportunities for kills. Teams need to be ready to respond to an opportunity for easy kills, so when having a massive numerical advantage on good fighting ground, teams should be on the attack. The standard strategy. There isn't a whole lot of variation in Skybattle strategies. Most consist of picking easy fights and staying alive. Players will divide tasks at the start of the game in order to make sure the team has a quick start to the game. One player will grab the starter island, with another going to loot the Oreo supply island. The other 2 should stay together in order to stay safe while collecting the iron blocks. After that, all 4 players should ascend the candy cane tower. With 3 iron blocks, a team can have 27 iron ingots. With this, a team can all have iron swords along with a combination of 3 pairs of leggings, or use Iron Man strats, and give one player full iron with enough iron left over for 2 iron swords and an iron axe. This decision certainly depends on team composition, aggression, and confidence. At this point, it's important to look for players bridging to be able to snipe an easy kill. However, don't waste arrows. Use arrows when you can knock a player off. At this point, teams must cross a gap to reach the middle island. However, they must be wary of snipers, trying to get an easy kill on a player bridging. Making safe bridges here is a simple tactic to keep team members alive. Be wary, there'll be many teams around at this point. Once the team has made it safely to the middle island, teams can climb to the lollipop tower and collect the various resources. Depending on how aggressive your team wants to be, you can travel to the middle island and try to pick fights or simply survive longer. At this point, many things can happen. Teams can bridge straight from the tower, the upper or lower levels of the donut, or try taking over another team's bridge. The endgame will always be incredibly chaotic. Trying to kill other teams with explosives is the usual course of action, along with using the fishing rod to knock them off the island. The end fight can go many ways, with many opportunities to kill other teams, take as many kills as possible, and possibly even win. There have been alternative strategies proposed and used in Skybattle before. Let's look at some of them. Created by the Pink Parrots in MCC 17, the middle rush prioritizes getting the team to middle as quickly as possible and setting up base. The beginning is very similar to the regular strategy, where a team quickly grabs the resources around them. However, one player rushes to the middle, making a path for the other 3. Then the team rushes to the middle to gather resources and quickly sets up a base in the complete middle of the map. This new island should be built several layers deep and rather high up in order to have better positioning. In the endgame, the team should be able to use their superior position to shoot, blow up, and fish players into the border or void. This strategy should be able to secure more survival points and some kills, but a team will have to be more aware of their surroundings due to inevitably being attacked by multiple teams in the endgame. This final strategy has only been used once by the MCC 17 Yellow Yaks, but it was brought to success in the single time it was used. The survival strategy was created by Wilbur with the aim to bridge underneath all of the aliens and hide in the center island unnoticed the entire game. Surprisingly, it worked. At the beginning of the game, one player bridges carefully, trying to minimize casualties, while the other players quickly grab the iron blocks and chest items, also trying to avoid casualties. When they are bridged to the very center island, they make a fortified base far below the map. They stay there the entire game and withstand the explosives dropped on them. Teams will either have to drop enough TNT to completely destroy fortifications or drop onto cobwebs to stop this. This strategy has only been used once though, so it's probably not reliable. Also, the fact that Yellow Yak's block colour is the same as middle also helped them. Either way, this strategy is interesting and was worth mentioning for the surprising success it created. Hopefully this video helped you understand how to perform best in Skybattle. See you in the next video.